What would you do if someone at work found your spicy photos and didn't tell you about it? Would you want to know, or would you want that information kept in the dark, buried, unseen, out of sight, out of mind, ignorance is bliss, and all that stuff? Well, today I found a story that puts OP in between a rock and a hard place, and they don't know if they've made the right call or not. Let's read the story and you be the judge. But before we do, I want to remind everyone that I have a Patreon now. You can get exclusive monthly posts, access to an awesome Discord server where the vibes are always cool, or just give me general support that helps me get by while I navigate unemployment. Again, I desperately crave stability here. But as a reminder, to support me, you don't have to go through Patreon if you can't or just don't want to. Simply liking and hyping this video does a lot for me and boosts me in the YouTube algorithm, if you feel I've earned it, of course. And with that being said, let's get into the video. This story comes from Aware Specialist 7279, titled, "Work Colleague Has No Idea I've Seen Her Naked." Regular poster here, but posting under a different account for obvious reasons. I've worked in IT for a long number of years, now in a senior role. When I first started at the firm I'm at, they had no internal IT department to speak of. They outsourced support, and as such had very little vigilance or management of their IT function. No computer policies, security policies, etc. One of the reasons I was hired was to build a department to do all that and strengthen their IT management. We hit the ground running, quickly started to install more controls over IT devices, and one of the first things I did was remove local admin rights from all computers to prevent users installing anything and everything they wanted, and substantially decrease risk of a security breach. Most of the staff got on board with this as senior management laid down the law, but a few users wanted to retain local admin rights for some particular pieces of critical hardware they used, which updated often and required admin approval to do so, often out of hours when IT wasn't available. Senior management agreed to this on a limited basis. I quickly discovered that amongst the small group of users who were allowed local admin rights, most respected the slack they had been given. But there was one guy who was, let's say, problematic. Always resisting anything IT tried to do. Didn't want us remotely connecting to his computer for support, deliberately obstructive, etc. The biggest issue was that he felt he could do anything he wanted. For example, if he wanted a 3,000 pound piece of software, that's pound as in money, not weight for my US viewers just listening. He didn't have the patience or discipline to formally request it via proper channels and wait for approval and purchase. He would just download a cracked version at home onto a USB stick and bring it in to install it. This was obviously unacceptable for a multitude of reasons. It's important to note also that he was going out with another staff member who worked on the same team. We'll get to that in a second. Oh god, I think I already know where this is going. As expected, we soon got wind of his behavior around IT, and I raised it with management, explaining how the firm was liable for software theft, copyright infringement, and more if we were audited. They asked me to do a discreet sweep of his computer remotely so we could build a potential case for disciplinary. Fortunately, he often left his computer turned on and signed in. Another thing we asked staff not to do, always shut down so updates and group policies can be properly applied on startup the next day. So I stayed late one evening and started inspecting his machine remotely. You can tell this story isn't from the US because I've never been told to log off and shut down my work laptop. In fact, I've been encouraged to do the opposite. It wasn't long before I found a folder on his C drive containing lots of software installers for commercial software that we didn't own. There were a few miscellaneous subfolders as well with gibberish names. So I started looking through them also, which is when I get a bit of a shock. One of the subfolders had multiple explicit photos of his girlfriend, our fellow staff member, in various poses in a bedroom, but in each and every photo, she was totally naked. Not in a bikini or topless, everything was on show. She was also holding a bottle of wine in a few, and while I couldn't tell for sure from static photos, I think she was a little tipsy or drunk when they were taken, judging by her expressions in a few. Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen. I have thoughts, but I'm gonna hold them for now and see what happens. My immediate reaction wasn't titillation or the like. I was kind of mortified for her and wished I hadn't seen them. She was a very friendly and kind person who I got on well with from day one, as she made a point of making me feel very welcome in the firm. And I was now in a position where I wasn't sure how I'd look her in the eye again. What has been seen cannot be unseen and all that. I finished up and went home and thought long and hard about what to do. Do I tell her and management and risk huge embarrassment for all of us? No doubt word would get out and other employees would hear about it. Maybe she would have been shocked that her boyfriend put these photos on a work computer. But maybe she already knew and it was some weird kink they had where he looked at them during work hours. Then there was the fact that no one should have pictures of anyone naked on a work computer. However, the pictures were taken between the two of them and obviously never intended to be seen by anyone else. I'd seen them buried in a folder in his PC, which I was digging through secretly, as opposed to them being seen online by many people. Did she even remember he took them if she was drunk? The whole thing was giving me a headache that I never asked for. There were reasons to tell and reasons not to tell. And if I didn't know her and respect her, I probably wouldn't have cared and just went by the rulebook. In the end, I took the easy route and did nothing. I told management about illegal software, but didn't mention the photos. They cracked down on Mr. Pirate and he removed all the crap from his computer that wasn't meant to be there. I suspect he knew IT had taken a look through his machine, but if so, never mentioned it. 2 years later, he left and got a job with another firm, and I haven't seen him since. However, his then girlfriend subsequently became his wife, and she still works at our firm. They have kids now. We talk sometimes in the canteen or passing in the corridor, and she still has no idea I've seen her naked. In hindsight, I sometimes think now I should have taken a different course of action. Maybe there would have been much embarrassment, but the truth would be known. Mickey from the future here. Before you all judge me for my thoughts on this, I need to make it clear that right now I'm thinking under the assumption that this is a work laptop, and eventually I do realize that I don't think this is a work laptop. And when I do connect those dots, my opinion starts to change. You gotta understand, I'm from America where we're taught at an early age to bring work home with you. Employers give you laptops or they just expect you to work all the time. It makes perfect sense in my brain, I'm sorry. Alright, back to the video so you can watch me flounder. Wow, okay. Honestly, I'm split on your decision here, OP. Ultimately, I think you made the right call by not saying anything to management. Since this couple is still together and married with children, I'm gonna lean towards the photos being taken consensually, and the only thing bad here is that the guy kept photos on a work computer like an absolute moron. Though the drinking aspect gives me pause. I don't think he was trying to let anyone see them without her knowing, since you said it yourself, he wouldn't want anyone working on his computer, and the folder itself was buried. If you had brought this up to management, I'm not sure what you would have accomplished other than embarrassing both of your coworkers, especially her, and potentially leaking this information to multiple people, possibly the entire office if anyone decided to spread gossip. However, I do think you should have told your two coworkers, at the very least your female coworker whose nudes you saw, no matter how awkward it would be to tell her. Because let's say another IT person has to go through his computer, and they also get a show that she very likely doesn't want them to see. And if the photos weren't consensual and she doesn't even remember taking them, well, that's a huge issue and she absolutely needs to know about them. If I were in her situation, I'd probably want to know, so at the very least, I can make sure no one else saw my private photos. Okay, as I was scrolling the comments, I see OP posted something that put my fears of others seeing the photos to bed. One commenter asks, the real question is, did he delete the photos off of said PC when he left your company for his new employment? And OP responds, we wiped his PC. What he did with the pictures is not known to me. They're his business now. Hopefully, he's taking better measures to keep those photos private. This reminds me of a story I heard back at an old job I used to work at. One of the managers there that nobody particularly liked got a new work laptop, and his old one was handed down to another employee. When she booted up the laptop, it was pretty apparent that no one had wiped his computer before giving it to her, and in the photos folder were pictures of a part of his body that nobody at all ever wanted to see. So this is a reminder, if you have a work computer that you take home, treat it like a work computer. The place you work at can see all the things you're doing there, including your web search history. So this is your sign to clean up your computer right now. Down in the comments, most seem to share the same or similar sentiments as I do, but one comment offers a different opinion. Let's read it. By not telling management when you found them, you made the situation far worse than it should have been. He didn't have those on his work computer for personal viewing pleasure. There was no good reason for them to be on his work computer, and I'm certain she wouldn't have approved. Now she's gone and married the guy, likely under false pretenses, not knowing what he did. And I almost guarantee keeping her nudes on his work PC is just the surface. Someone who constantly breaks rules and policies at work, installing pirated software, someone who feels he can do whatever he wants, has a problem with boundaries. If he doesn't respect them at work, he likely doesn't respect them elsewhere. Now they have kids, meaning that if she finds out that he's slimy, or worse, when she finds out that he's slimy, so much more damage is going to be done. She may not even have the means or opportunity to leave him when she finds out. And if she can, innocent lives will be fundamentally impacted forever. You put yourself in a horrible spot, mate. As they say, damned if you do, damned if you don't, all because you didn't make a good choice when you should have. Okay. I want to point out that keeping spicy photos of your partner isn't inherently a bad thing, but I'm just connecting. This may not be a laptop we're talking about. Oh my God, are we talking about a computer at work? That kind of changes my thought on this. Okay, I'm going to say this. If this is a work computer at the office that does not go home with the guy, then that is kind of a big red flag. There's no reason at all to have any nudes on a work computer, period. But a work computer that stays in the office, I can't think of a reason to ever have that. What you do in your private time is your thing, as long as you're not hurting anyone, but there's no private time at the office. So there needs to be a little bit of clarification there. I'm going to work under the assumption that this guy is bringing the computer home and treats it like his personal computer. And if that's the case, then these photos may have been stored on the PC before OP's company started taking the work computer seriously and monitoring them. Again, the main thing that gives me pause is that OP says his coworker was drunk when she took the photos. I do hope she knows about the photos, even if they are married now. She 100% deserves to know about these photos, which is why I still think OP should have told the couple. But the commenter here, honestly, I'm kind of torn. Now I can't get it out of my head that this is just a desktop computer at the office that never leaves the office. That makes the whole thing a lot weirder. All I can say for sure is that the guy's guilty of leaving spicy nudes on his work computer. And for the love of God, please, none of you ever do that. This is exactly why you don't do that, because other people see those. But I'm curious, what do you all think? Do you agree that OP did the right thing by not telling anyone? Do you think he should have told the couple, or at the very least the person in the photos like I do? Or do you side more with the commenter who thinks they made a bad call all around? Honestly, now I can't get it out of my head that this computer just stays at the office. If that's the case, that's honestly changing my opinion a lot. I think management probably should have been notified of this, because now that implies that something was going on in the office that really shouldn't have been going on. And it does make your old coworker look kind of shady. I definitely think you should tell your female coworker now. But I want to know your thoughts. Comment below and let's talk about it. Later.